He's been banned 3 times in a month.
I won the game. I won the game.
But if you ask anybody on any server, nobody likes playing with that freak, which kind of explains why EUS is the way it is. Because he ruins the game. Everybody, his dipshit fanboys like, I'm gonna sit in side lane, I don't know macro. Nobody learns macro on this server. Nobody has any game knowledge because that fucking reject. That's literally what it is. And of course, nobody gets punished for intentionally feeding because he can play his disgusting fucking champions and run it down and not get banned.
I know when you see his match history and you see this, you're gonna be like, how is this not deserved a ban?
Simon TheBausFFS Hofferberg was born in Kungsängen, a quiet suburb just outside of Stockholm, Sweden. Like many kids growing up in the early 2000s, video games quickly became a big part of his life, spending many hours watching his older brother play World of Warcraft. Inspired by the games he grew up watching, Simon eventually found his own passion in League of Legends, stepping into Summoner's Rift for the first time during Season 2, initially resonating with champions like Blitzcrank, Bard, and Thresh, playmakers who could shift the course of a fight with a single ability. But then on one day, everything changed. Baus queued up for a game and found himself auto-filled to the top lane. Not sure of what champion to pick, he decided to pick one on a whim. And well, the rest is history.
Boom.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Simon!
Nice.
There we go. There we go.
Ooh! Solo kill Faker! Baus just solo killed Faker! Baus just solo killed Faker! There it is! Get the replay! Baus solo killed Faker!
By June 2016, Baus had already started making a name for himself, becoming the go-to player for an off-meta full AD Sion playstyle. At the time, most full AD Sion players ran him in the bot lane, and one of the earliest showcases of this strategy came from a 2016 video by Dong Hwap. Looking at the video, you might recognize a certain name. No, don't look at the Sion, look at the Bard. Over the next couple of years, Baus would pop up on Reddit from time to time, his unorthodox playstyle catching the attention of the League community. But then in August of 2018, out of nowhere, Baus started streaming on Twitch.
Oh my, I cannot believe it. Right? Oh.
He had just graduated high school and struck a deal with his parents. 1 year to see if he could make something of streaming before committing to college.
I came to an agreement with them. If they let me have 1 year of no rent, I'll like pay it off later.
Baus knew he was good at the game, but the real question was, would anybody actually watch him? The answer came almost immediately. His relentless, high-risk approach turned every game into a spectacle, drawing in viewers who couldn't look away. Just 4 months after going live, he had nearly 6,000 followers and was already averaging 200 viewers per stream. Baus was no longer just a niche high-elo player. He was starting to build up an audience, and by 2019, his name was beginning to spread. But with more eyes on him, something became very clear. He didn't play the game quite like anyone else. If you tuned into his stream for the first time, you'd probably think he was trolling. He'd walk up, shove a wave under the tower, and then die. Over and over again. His KDA was a disaster. At a glance, it looked like the worst gameplay imaginable. But the more you watched, the more you started to realize this wasn't just mindless inting, this was calculated. Baus wasn't just inting, he was inting to win. Instead of taking trades and fighting his lane opponent, Baus had a different priority: breaking the laning phase as fast as possible. The sooner the game stopped being a traditional 1 versus 1 top lane matchup, the better it was for him. And the key to doing this was proxy farming. Proxying is when a player ignores the lane entirely, running behind enemy towers to kill minion waves before they reach the lane. It's high risk, but when it works, it flips the game upside down. By proxying, Baus creates a no-win scenario for his opponent. If they chase him, they lose farm under their tower. If they ignore him, he gets to scale for free. And if they try to stop him, well, they have to waste their jungler's time killing a 0-4 Sion worth barely any gold. You see, in League of Legends, each time you die, you give less and less gold. First kill gives you 300, second 267, and so on until 0-5, where you only get 100 gold. Killing Baus when he's 0-5 gives you less gold than a standard minion wave. Actively giving up a wave to go kill him now makes absolutely zero sense. Or does it? You're 5-0, you're absolutely stomping Baus. You've gained about a 700 gold lead, and it's time to push your advantage. Wait a minute, there's no minion wave. The 0-5 Sion has proxied your wave again. You can't go kill the Sion because you'll lose more gold than the wave is worth. You can't kill his tower because he's already killed your minion wave. And you can't leave because if you do, he'll take your tower.
And this is now gonna give me a tempo advantage over the Maokai. Whereas he now has to clear the wave, right? The wave that I've already cleared. He has to now clear the wave. And then I also got a fast recall because I died, so I got instantly the base. So he has to clear the wave, plus 10 seconds. He has to press recall, that's plus 8 seconds. He has to walk back to lane without death home guards, that's another plus 5 seconds. So currently I'm up like 20 seconds on this guy. So therefore, this Baus and Law 101, right? Therefore I can just be here in lane, push the wave, he's nowhere near, I can hit the plating, and there we go. It's what you call, you know, beautiful gameplay right here.
You're probably now thinking, this sounds absolutely broken. Why don't you see this in competitive games? Well, here's the catch. Bauson's Law is a strategy that works most effectively on Sion. Sion's passive, Glory in Death, enables Baus to secure the wave after dying, something no other champion can do. If you can't guarantee you'll farm the wave, then dying isn't worth it, and Bauson's Law falls apart. The second problem is Bauson's Law only works up to around level 10. Death timers start to become too long to make it back in time to catch the next wave, which makes dying for the wave no longer worth it. And with the strategy so heavily dependent on not falling behind by farming, it's around this point in the game where Bauson's Law has to change. Okay, hold up. We've established how Bauson's Law works up until level 10, but we haven't actually covered the most important part. Why does Baus do it in the first place? Why not just play normally? Well, Sion loses most matchups early, and at higher elo, opponents know exactly how to exploit that. They'll zone you off CS, shove you under tower, and suffocate you out of the game. Play standard and you'll slowly bleed out. Down in gold, down in experience, and completely reliant on your jungler to bail you out. That's why Baus plays like he does. Instead of playing the opponent's game and bleeding out, Baus avoids the fight entirely. He doesn't contest CS under tower, he doesn't take bad trades, and he doesn't let his opponent build a lead by keeping him pinned down. Instead, he sidesteps the entire problem, proxying waves, forcing awkward decisions, and making sure he's never truly behind, even when his KDA says otherwise. Because Baus never actually fights his opponent, he can afford to go full scaling, with runes like Overgrowth, Conditioning, and Gathering Storm. Runes that don't do much in the early game, but stack over time. By the time BausFFS reaches level 10, his champion and runes have scaled to the point where he's strong enough to hold his own in the 1v1. And from here on out, the matchup is only going to go in his favour. BausFFS starts to take over the game. What was once your tower is now BausFFS's tower. His presence in the side lane demands attention. Leaving him alone is not an option. No high elo jungler is just going to sit by and watch BausFFS take over the side lane. But that's exactly what BausFFS is counting on. By playing the weak side of the map, BausFFS forces his opponent into an impossible choice. The moment the jungler comes to stop him, his team takes an objective. If they leave BausFFS alone, he takes their entire base. It's a lose-lose situation. Although BausFFS never loses track of his end goal, getting there doesn't exactly look pretty. The whole strategy revolves around guaranteeing CS for his life. So any player unfamiliar to BausFFS's playstyle would just look at his KDA and think he's running it down. Even though you now know how BausFFS's lore works, not everyone else did. His teammates flamed him, his enemies reported him, and Riot? Well, Riot wasn't quite sure what to do with him either. On January the 9th, 2021, Riot banned BausFFS for intentionally feeding. At first, it almost seemed like a joke. The community wasn't entirely sure what had just happened. Surely, Riot hadn't just banned someone who was actively trying to win. Unfortunately for BausFFS, the ban was real. It didn't matter that he was playing to win. Dying 15 times in 26 minutes was enough to trigger Riot's automated system. Luckily, Riot quickly realized their mistake, and just a day later, BausFFS was unbanned. At the time, it didn't seem like a big deal, just an unlucky false ban. But in hindsight, it was an omen of things to come. Despite the ban, Riot still invited BausFFS to guest cast for Week 6 of the 2021 LEC Summer Split. A fun addition, bringing in a popular streamer to break down games live on air. While most casters are supposed to remain impartial, it was pretty obvious who BausFFS wanted to win.
Boss, you have to be feeling pretty good because I think G2, now that you're a caster, see G2 are trying to convert you to being biased by offering to pick Sion. But I can't help but feel like you are excited about the potential of a Sion pick.
My favorite team is sitting right there.
No, boss, no, you can't. You can't call them your favorite team. You mean you?
But
say I, the boss, love all teams equally.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I, the boss, love every team.
Okay, we all certainly do. It's about time.
Let's go G2.
Most viewers loved it. Seeing their favorite streamer on the main broadcast was a huge moment, but not everyone was happy. What a slap in the face to any upcoming / aspiring caster / analyst, etc. to invite a Twitch streamer that has zero competitive experience to analyze games on the LEC, and he wasn't the only one. Haha, I am griefing, guys. Look, I got the wave. I am 014. Lamau, can't get banned cause I'm a streamer. Funny yokes. Hi. Both tweets were obvious digs at BausFFS, mocking his playstyle and suggesting that he only got away with things because of his popularity. But let's take a step back. Surely the people throwing shade at BausFFS were squeaky clean. Riot wouldn't extend their privileges to just anyone, right? If you weren't familiar with the name Promiscu, let me fill you in. Promiscu had a history of threatening to run it down in solo queue. He banned his own teammates' hovered champions just to be toxic. And to top it all off, he sent DMs to people telling them to get cancer. Not exactly the role model you'd expect Riot to have on the main broadcast. Despite this, BausFFS was still fortunate enough to cast a game between Fnatic and Astralis, and as it just so happened, Promiscu was playing. But he wasn't playing very well. Just 10 minutes into the game, he was already 0-4. Without skipping a beat, BausFFS clapped back.
0-4-0 for Promiscu. Is that a slap in the face?
It's tough.
However, casting wasn't the only thing Riot had in store for Baus. Just a few months later, he was invited to Undercity Nights, a celebration marking the release of the first season of Arcane. The event brought together some of the most popular streamers from around the world. 8 teams, 40 streamers, and of all the matchups, one stood head and shoulders above the rest. Team NA2 versus Team EU2.
This is why I went here and went all through all that struggle. This moment right here. Next match is versus TF Blade's team. Now that team is really fucking good. I think the challenger players, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna gap TF Blade out of the oblivion and embarrass him on stage. It's just gonna be a complete slaughter here.
Before minions had even spawned, Baus's mid laner got caught and died to TF Blade. Was all that pre-game trash talk about to backfire? From the very start, Team NA had a clear game plan. Shut Baus down. Gank after gank after gank, they piled the pressure on Baus, and their efforts would eventually pay off when TF Blade secured a solo kill. With so much attention focused top, Baus could only hope the rest of his team could carry, but that hope was quickly fading. The enemy AD carry was already 8-2. Things were not looking good for Team EU. Until, that is, NA decided to 5v2 tower dive the bot lane under their tier 1 tower. EU were ready with the counterpunch, Baus managing to pick up a huge 900 gold shutdown from TF Blade, and eventually the ace in return for their bot lane.
Yeah.
I don't know where Rain is. Main.
Nice! Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go!
The sudden swing in momentum had flipped the game on its head. A second teamfight win meant securing Baron. With his team back in the game, Baus could activate his split push shenanigans. Becca tried to match Baus in the side lane, but was quickly sent back to the fountain. And not long after, TF Blade would meet the same fate.
Sit down! Sit down! Sit the fuck down!
With his team winning a 3v4 on the other side of the map and the entire enemy team dead, there was only one thing left to do: a signature Baus special. It was the perfect way to close out the event. Baus and his team had won the entire thing. Not that it was a surprise, however, because, let's be honest, EU is greater than NA. But it was after the tournament, during his victory interview, where Baus truly delivered.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know there was a charity going on. What you guys are doing seems to be great. You're giving to the less fortunate ones, so that's amazing. I only came here to shit on TF Blade. And it's a little bit embarrassing. I am probably the worst top laner EU West has seen, and he's considered one of the best in North America. So it's a little bit embarrassing in my opinion.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
It's a great answer. I can't even.
How could you hate him? His banter and quirky personality were part of what made him the 6th biggest League streamer at the time. And just a few months later, he was about to do something that would catapult him to the very top. For the first time since 2018, an international tournament was being held in Korea, the undisputed best region with the best players. Whenever an international tournament takes place, a massive part of the community loves watching the pros climb the solo queue ladder. It's the ultimate test, a raw display of just how good the best players in the world really are. Despite being challenger on EU West since at least Season 8, Baus still had something to prove. Some people still questioned whether he was actually good at the game. So, what better way to silence the doubters than for Baus to head to Korea? And boy, they were not ready for him.
야, 뭐야 이거? 아 제발.
아니 설마 이거?
Many streamers made the trip to Korea, but there was just something different about watching BausFFS's journey. Seeing world-class pro players who thought they'd seen it all get absolutely bamboozled by this Swedish goofball was absolute cinema. From being placed in Bronze 3 to reaching Challenger on the hardest server in just 23 days. There could be no doubt anymore that BausFFS was the real deal. But we all know that the real price of being high elo in Korea is playing with the GOAT himself, Faker, and BausFFS would get his chance.
We found him, guys. Oh, how exciting. Ooh. I will not feed this game. I will not feed. After this game, Faker's gonna love me. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. My ulti didn't go off. Faker did the surrender mode. No. No.
The game was a complete disaster. 30,000 people just watched BausFFS run it down in front of Faker. And almost immediately after that game, this happened.
What just happened? No, I don't want. Okay, what just happened? Dude, this is not happening, by the way. This is not happening. This is not happening. Oh my god, oh my god. Nah.
At first glance, it looked like BausFFS had just gotten banned. But what actually happened was BausFFS's account had been locked due to suspicious access history identified within the account. BausFFS had run it down so hard, even Riot wasn't sure if the same player who climbed to Challenger was the one who just went 2-18 with Faker.
So what happened is, my account got locked. It didn't get banned, it got locked for account sharing or something like that. I woke up today and I had access to my account again, so it was just all a big misunderstanding.
After the Faker incident, BausFFS would get a second shot at redemption. At first, the game was looking like a repeat of the last time they played. The pressure to perform was getting to BausFFS. This was not the time for mechanical misplays. Faker was doing his best to carry, but the rest of the team wasn't looking great. And then, out of nowhere, BausFFS managed to set up 3 kills in the mid lane, turning the game into his team's favour, and at just 23 minutes, his team secured the Baron, and eventually, after 1v2 split pushing in the enemy's base, BausFFS got the win. He had been redeemed, his sins for the last time he and Faker met somewhat forgiven. BausFFS had reached Challenger in under a month and won a game with Faker. He could leave Korea with his head held high, but his trip to Korea wouldn't come without consequence. Immediately following BausFFS's trip to Korea, the next set of patch notes would bring targeted nerfs to Sion. His damage to towers while in zombie passive was heavily reduced from 100% down to 40%. At first, BausFFS wasn't too concerned. When the changes were announced, he reacted on stream, saying that as long as Demolish wasn't affected, the nerfs wouldn't be too bad, and on PBE, Demolish was untouched. But when patch day arrived, Riot had made extra changes.
And then I wake up today, and this is the change they did. And I go into practice tool, and my Demolish deals 40% less damage. At this point, I literally think Riot is listening to the stream. Like, why would they change the change? Like, well, what's happening? Do I have to stop talking? Like, did I seriously snitch on myself? I said the nerf wouldn't be that big of a deal. So then they doubled down on it. Fuck off. You got me fucked up. How am I supposed to play the fucking game? And I wonder if includes runes and items. Does this include Hullbreaker then? So then Sion will deal 40% reduced damage to towers, but then the Hullbreaker also won't work. Oh my fucking god, man.
Sion's passive now reduced not only Demolish proc damage by 60%, but also Hullbreaker, which in its own right was also being nerfed at the same time. From dealing 20% bonus damage from all sources against structures, to now only attacks dealing 20% bonus damage. The nerfs meant that you could no longer deal 20% more damage to towers with Demolish when you had Hullbreaker. With this signature playstyle being gutted, BausFFS naturally began to experiment, playing things like full Lethality Volibear and full AD Lee Sin. But none would become more infamous than AP Irelia. and not in a good way. Within a month, Baus had been banned 4 times. Players who ended up in his solo queue lobbies begged him not to play her. Irelia has always been a champion who's been built as an AD bruiser, but instead, Baus would build items like Lichbane, Nashor's Tooth, and Deathcap. And while some abilities did a high amount of damage with AP, the majority of the kit was effectively useless.
I mean, I watch games of Baus playing AP Irelia, and I have to admit it is the most useless shit I have seen in quite some time. Like, I can't believe he's playing this shit. It is the most useless shit I have ever seen. The AP Irelia, I've never seen such a fucking trash useless champion in my fucking life. When Baus was playing Volibear top, it was way better than this AP Irelia dog shit.
Across 72 games, Baus would only manage to achieve a 39% win rate, all while sporting a worse KDA than his inting Sion. The playstyle was so controversial that Reddit user Tanir48 made a statistical analysis of Baus's playstyle. The post featured radar plots that compared Baus's AP Irelia to things like his tank Sion, and the results showed that AP Irelia was objectively worse in every way: lower damage, less survivability, and no real impact on the game. A growing majority of the community wanted Baus to stay banned. Comments started mocking his response to the bans, suggesting that maybe he should try to stop inting, and others started speculating that he was instead inting for content. Despite all this, he was still averaging 15,000 viewers per stream, and not much would happen over the next couple of years. Currently, Baus plays professionally for Lost Ratones, in what I'll describe as the best thing to happen to League of Legends in years. But it's too early to start talking about his professional career arc, so maybe in a few years' time I'll make a video about that. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and until next time gamers, stay safe.